Hey everyone! Before we dive into today's story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of our deep dives into car history. And if you'd like to support the channel financially, all the details are down in the description. Every bit of support helps this channel grow and bring you more content like this. And for that, a huge thank you. Now, buckle up. Today we're diving into the incredible story and its first part of the Tucker Corporation, its ambitious creator, and the dream that almost changed the American auto industry forever, but never became a reality. What you are seeing on your screens right now has little in common with the real Tucker, or to be more precise, it has absolutely nothing to do with it. In fact, this extravagant car is nothing more than a Buick Riviera with its original 7.5-litre V8 engine. It was transformed by some craftsmen into a sort of replica of the legendary Tucker torpedo, using original LaSalle and Pontiac parts, as well as many homemade components and panels. It is known that in the summer of 2014, this unusual little car, called Tucker Torpedo Prototype 2, was sold by its creator through eBay for no less than $10,000. But its design, eccentric to some, ridiculous to others, and downright ugly to the third, was obviously inspired by the original Torpedo, which was once called the most talked about car in the world. Its current auction prices are measured not in thousands, but in millions of dollars. And unlike the modern homemade replica, the design of the real Torpedo was not only visually, but also technically elegant and innovative. According to legend, all three Detroit automotive giants were so frightened by the model's potential that they organized a real conspiracy against Tucker Corporation, which eventually buried the young company before it could even begin mass production. The Tucker Torpedo was the brainchild of entrepreneur Preston Thomas Tucker. It was Tucker who, in the early 1940s, set out to create an innovative car that would not only be more visually appealing and technologically advanced, but also safer compared to the vehicles produced in Detroit at the time, which had not really changed since the US entered World War II. To turn his dream into reality, the 42-year-old entrepreneur with solid experience founded Tucker Corporation and hired the famous automotive stylist George Lawson. In a year and a half, Lawson created the initial design of the car, called the Torpedo. It featured a futuristic exterior with 3 front headlights and a number of innovative technical solutions. One of these innovations was front fenders that turned with the wheels. The 2 side headlights were built into the fenders, illuminating the direction of the steering, which, according to its creators, made the car much safer. The first Torpedo concept was never built in physical form. However, the advertising campaign with its images launched in the press at the end of 1945 helped Preston Tucker attract enormous public attention to his project. As the project evolved, it became clear that the original design with turning fenders did not make the car safer. Quite the opposite. At the end of 1946, George Lawson's work was continued by new stylist Alex Tremulous, who refined the original concept within 3 months, using more traditional solutions but keeping the signature torpedo features: the trident-shaped front and boat-tail-styled rear. By mid-1947, the design of the Tucker Torpedo was once again updated, and the model received its final official name, Tucker 48, where 48 indicated the planned model year. The name Torpedo was abandoned because it could have evoked negative associations with the horrors of World War II. The premiere of the first real rear-engine prototype, Tucker 48, took place on June 19, 1947, at the Tucker Corporation plant in Chicago. By then, Tucker had managed to create incredible hype around his car, which was supposed to revolutionize the industry. As a result, more than 3,000 people attended the premiere. But what exactly set this new model apart from others, aside from its unconventional design? In its April 1947 issue, Pathfinder magazine wrote, "The Tucker car, which has drawn genuine interest since its first appearance in 1945, will feature a number of exclusive solutions tested at the toughest test track in Indianapolis and will be one of the lowest cars ever built. The six-seat car with a six-cylinder engine will weigh less than 3,000 pounds. Its main innovations will include a rear-mounted engine installed transversely, transmitting power directly to the rear wheels. This will eliminate not only the traditional transmission, but also the clutch, driveshaft tunnel, and differential. Fuel consumption may reach 6.7 litres per 100 kilometres, thanks to fuel injection, high-frequency ignition, lightweight, and the elimination of 800 extra parts. The cruising speed will be 160 kilometres per hour, thanks to a 150 horsepower airplane-type engine that can be completely replaced within an hour. Airplane-type disc brakes will stop the car at 2/3 the distance of drum brakes. The Cyclops Eye, a third headlight in the centre of the hood, will turn with the wheels to light up corners. This is how Preston Tucker advertised his new car. It's no surprise there was such a massive buzz around it. And the most amazing thing is that Tucker actually managed to implement almost everything described, and even more. The first prototype shown in Chicago caused a real sensation. Its heart was a massive six-cylinder flat engine with a displacement of 589 cubic inches, 9.65 litres. However, this experimental engine, which was too advanced for its time, produced only 90 horsepower and was extremely unreliable. The prototype itself, despite looking like $1 million, hit a hastily assembled chassis full of problems. When this information leaked to the press, thanks to journalist Drew Pearson, the first Tucker 48 prototype was nicknamed the Tin Goose. But the audience present at the premiere had no idea about the problems and enthusiastically applauded Tucker and his creation. The rush to build the prototype had a serious reason. The plant where the presentation took place did not yet belong to Tucker. It belonged to the US government, and it was no ordinary plant. It was a giant factory covering almost 2 square kilometres. The main building alone covered an area equal to 44 football fields. At that time, it was the largest roofed building in the world. During the war, Dodge built B-29 Superfortress bomber engines there. This was the factory Preston Tucker wanted to acquire under certain conditions, one of which was the presentation of a fully functional prototype by a strict deadline. Another requirement, in addition to a substantial sum of $15 to $30 million, depending on the source, was the construction of 50 cars ready for demonstration within a year of the first prototype's premiere. Preston Tucker accepted the challenge. He and his team corrected the design and began testing and building the required 50 cars. The resulting car was truly revolutionary, far ahead of Detroit's Big Three. Abandoning the experimental 9-litre engine, Tucker equipped his cars with 5.4-litre horizontally opposed 6-cylinder aircraft engines from Franklin Engine Company. Tucker engineers converted them from air to water cooling, made necessary modifications, and ended up with a reliable engine producing 166 horsepower. During testing, the engine withstood 150 hours of full throttle operation, equivalent to nearly 30,000 kilometres of non-stop driving. One mechanic with proper tools could remove the engine in 30 minutes. 3 mechanics could do it in 18. The torque of 610 Newton meters was transmitted to the rear wheels through the unique Tucker-matic transmission with only 27 moving parts. It was a continuously variable transmission, CVT, designed with the help of Warren Rice, creator of the famous Buick Dynaflow transmission. The car had an elastomeric, fully independent suspension with rubber torsion bars, providing excellent handling on smooth roads, but making the car unstable on rough surfaces. The Cyclops Eye central headlight remained. It turned when the steering angle exceeded 10 degrees. The steering column came from Lincoln, but Tucker modified it to be height adjustable and patented the design. Many features Preston Tucker wanted to include did not make it into the final version due to technology limitations and lack of time. For example, the Tucker 48 never received magnesium wheels, direct fuel injection, or self-sealing tires. However, great attention was paid to safety. In addition to a kind of safety cage, the cars had seat belts and special windshields designed not to shatter, but to pop out upon impact. All instruments and switches were located close to the steering wheel to minimize driver distraction. The dashboard was padded to reduce injury risk in crashes. The front of the body featured crumple zones, an unprecedented safety innovation for the American auto industry at the time. In 1948, 7 Tucker 48 cars underwent nearly continuous 2-week testing at the Indianapolis Speedway, averaging 145 to 150 kilometers per hour. One car suffered a tire blowout at 160 kilometers per hour, flipped 3 times, but the driver walked away uninjured. Average fuel consumption was under 13 litres per 100 kilometres. Preston Tucker dreamed of creating a unique, innovative and safe car, and he came very close. By early autumn 1949, Tucker and his team fulfilled their promise to the government. 50 fully functional Tucker 48 models in 6 body colours were ready for demonstration. Preston Tucker, having raised about $26 million from stock sales, was prepared to sign documents to acquire the Chicago plant and launch mass production at 100 to 200 cars per day, with an expected price of $2,450. But the dream remained just a dream. Tucker Corporation was already standing with one foot in the grave, and its executioners were the giant Detroit automakers, Ford, General Motors and Chrysler, who didn't want to lose their profits.